The self-custody is important. So it creates a new world where you really own your value without relying on any third party. There is no banks, no government, no one that can deny your right over your ownership. Trust Wallet released like an extension for their software wallet. So you had Trust Wallet on mobile, so they built the extension. And as soon as they released it, one of the guys at the dungeon started to analyze the code and so on. And very quickly, he was able to spot a very tiny vulnerability in the way the seed was generated.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of the Tapping Into Crypto podcast. I've got a special guest on this week. Now, Ledger's become very much a household name for anyone that's been in crypto recently or, for the last couple of years. And I'm excited that we've got one of the captains of the ship on the show here today. So joining us today, I'd like to welcome Charles Guillemet, Chief Technical Officer at Ledger. Charles, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to discussing with you guys.
Absolutely. So we got a bit of a different setup today. We're down in very rainy Sydney, which is unfortunate for the Australian CryptoCon, but you've made the trip all the way from France specifically to be on the Tapping Into Crypto show. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Obviously, you've got some other speaking arrangements, but we will claim top priority today.
Yeah.
Well, where do we start? I guess it says here you started at Ledger when you're in 2017, and obviously being the Chief Technology Officer at the company, which is so focused on technology and security in particular. So how's your sort of journey been in crypto, and particularly with Ledger? So
my background is cryptography and security, and I discovered crypto in 2011. At the time, a friend of mine was mining with his own computer. He was mining with his computer, and he was talking about crypto, about Bitcoin especially. So
does he still have it?
Yeah, he still has his Bitcoin. Nice. So I decided to have a look, and I studied like the cryptography, decentralized consensus, the very notion of blockchain, which was completely new in 2011. And I thought that was an amazing object, a mathematical object, but I didn't really get the use case. I remember I installed Bitcoin Core, trying to mine with my computer, but it was slowing down my computer, so I thought that was annoying. So I stopped. I stopped being interested in Bitcoin at the time, and I joined Ledger in 2017, so 6 years after. So my friend still has this Bitcoin, and he asked me if I finally understood, and I think in 2017 I started to understand why Bitcoin and why crypto was different and useful. And when I joined, my mission was to create the security department for Ledger, and this is what I did. I created what we call today the dungeon. It's a catchy name.
Dungeon.
And this team is basically in charge of trying to raise the bar for security when it comes to our product, but also when it comes to different products in the ecosystem. So what they are doing day to day consists in trying to break crypto product. Mostly our product, so that we can improve, but also they are doing security research in the space. So this is what I did first, and I became CTO in 2019. And since then, the company grew a lot. When I joined, we were 40 in total, and today Ledger is a 700 people company. So a lot of things have happened at Ledger in the ecosystem as well. So this is a vibrant ecosystem that I really like.
Absolutely. And I think, Pav said it before, like Ledger is one of the most recognizable names in crypto globally. So we're stoked to have you on, and we're going to dive into all things security and technology and where sort of Ledger's going and how you see it fit into the sort of the crypto sphere. But one thing we ask all our guests is, what was the first crypto you bought, and do you still have it today?
So I could have had the opportunity to get Bitcoin in 2011, as I mentioned, but I didn't do that. But I bought Bitcoin after. So my first crypto was Bitcoin, and to be honest, I never sold any Bitcoin. So I just buy Bitcoin continuously since a long time. This is my strategy.
Strategy. Nice. Nice. Yeah. Keep it simple. How do you see Ledger fit into the entire crypto sort of industry? Because obviously it's been around for so long. You've been there since 2017. So much has changed. Like we were talking before the show, being in crypto since 2017 is like being in any other industry like 30 years, right?
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Yeah, how's that going? And then how do you see it sort of fitting into the current ecosystem and then moving forward into the future?
Yes, very good question. I think the big revolution that is brought by Bitcoin and blockchain technology is the idea that you can create a permissionless system, permissionless money for Bitcoin, permissionless systems for Ethereum, Solana, like other crypto, and this ecosystem is permissionless thanks to two different pillars. On one side, you have a decentralized consensus, which makes the system censorship resistant. That means that it's impossible for government, any third party to censor your transaction. You transact, and there are different actors that will validate your transaction, and they have independent incentives. So you have on one side the decentralized consensus that makes the system censorship resistant. And on the other side, you have self-custody. With self-custody, like you own your crypto, and no one can prevent you to own your crypto. And as we say in the field, like not your keys, not your coin. What makes you owner of your crypto is the fact that you know your private keys, and you will be able to prove ownership over your crypto by like doing a digital signature. This is how the cryptography works. But at the end, this is not the cryptography is not that important. The fact that the self-custody is important. So it creates a new world where you really own your value without relying on any third party. There is no banks, no government, no one that can deny your right over your ownership. And this is a big revolution when you think about it. And it's even more like important, like in certain countries, like Argentina, Nigeria, Venezuela, where it's difficult to get access to the banking system. They don't really trust the government. In our world, we kind of trust our government and banking system. But when you think about it and you think about self-sovereignty, ownership, and digital rights, self-custody is fundamental. But this comes with big responsibility, meaning that you don't want to lose your crypto. You don't want to lose ownership over your crypto. Because if ever you lose your private keys, your secret, your 24 words, then that means that you lose access to your funds forever. And we estimate today that it's between 20 and 30% of the whole market cap that is lost forever. This is we don't really know, but this is an estimation. Especially back in the days at the beginning of Bitcoin, most people didn't think that this thing would become that important and valuable. So that's why they lost Bitcoin without even thinking about it. So this, and on the other side, like if an attacker is able to get an access to your keys, he will pretend he is yourself by simply signing a transaction. From a blockchain perspective, there is no difference if I'm signing my transaction or someone signing with my keys. From a blockchain standpoint, it's the same thing. And blockchain is immutable, meaning that when this transaction is done, there is no way to revert this transaction. So this comes with a new set of responsibility, and security plays a very important role in this setup. And this is the very mission for Ledger. Ledger is providing a solution to enable self-custody with in a secure setup, and while we are trying to improve the user experience. Because this is also one of the challenges that we have in our field, which is very technical, very geeky, nerdy, and so on, because it was made by geeks, and geeks only think about geeky things. Yeah. But now we are seeing this mainstream adoption, and when I think about my mother, how she is interacting with technology, like. We need to improve the user experience, and like collectively, like Ledger, we are trying to do this. Like this is part of our mission, but collectively in the space, we must make things like far more simple. So this is really what we do at Ledger, enabling self-custody and creating like a seamless experience where, as a user, you will be able to interact. You are able to interact with different blockchain protocol and in a secure manner.
Yeah, and I think you touched on a very good point there, because I know firsthand, speaking to customers and even my own friends and family, even people that have been in crypto for quite some time, talk about self-custody and everyone has that same reaction. Like, yeah. Like they're almost like they know they should do it, but they don't, because number one, they don't want to lose a private key, but number two, they don't probably quite understand materially some of the risks that are involved and the way that landscape's evolving. I know we had a great conversation before the show today, the recording, but what are some real world examples that I guess would scare people straight as to why they should consider self-custody?
So as I mentioned, one of the big power of blockchain is the fact that you really own your value and no one can deny your right to own value. And secondly, because you can buy an ETF, you can buy a Bitcoin ETF, and you are exposed to Bitcoin value, which is interesting, financially speaking, but not that interesting. Like if you think about the real ethos of Bitcoin, because whatever ETF you buy, you rely on regulation, you rely on the company and how it manages the funds of the customers and so on. And secondly, you don't benefit from the blockchain capability, because with blockchain you can send transaction 24/7 without intermediary in a very cheap manner, in a very fast manner, take benefit of the composability of the blockchain. So for instance, you can buy stock on chain 24/7, put the stock as a collateral to buy a house. This is something possible, technically speaking, with blockchain technology. In the traditional finance system, this is also possible, but it's really reserved to rich people that have the legal counsel, fiscal setup. They know how to do that, but the average people do not have access to such setup. With blockchain, technically it's possible, and the real challenge is just to make it as accessible as possible in terms of user experience. Because technically, you just have to buy any a tokenized stock, put it on a safe, on a vault, on a Morpho or Aave, and take a loan against it to buy your house. Technically, this is possible
now, yeah.
And now it's just a matter of creating the seamless experience end to end, and this is what the future is about.
Okay. And one of the main issues that people have, I guess, I think from what I've heard, personal experiences, they don't want to be responsible for their private key. Is there any sort of sage advice you have for people that still sit in that camp?
So I don't really get why you wouldn't want to be responsible for yourself. It's your stuff. You
should meet my friends.
Yeah, definitely. And after that, I think it's really a matter of being confident, understanding.
It just seems scary, I think, to the average person, right?
When it's scary, it's just because they don't know what it is about.
Yeah.
Just buy a ledger device. I can offer you one if you want, and try to do the onboarding, and you will be guided through the different steps. We are trying to make the onboarding as simple as possible, but we are trying to make it didactic so that you understand what you are doing, why, what are the challenges, and so on. You need to have a backup, and this kind of thing is really guided. And at the end of the process, you understood what you do, and you feel empowered. You are not frightened anymore because you understood what you do. And it can be frightening just because you don't know what's behind. What is frightening is the unknown at the end.
Yeah.
And do you have any advice, or do you have any options? Like you said, 20 to 30% of all Bitcoin is lost somewhere on the blockchain. What are the options for people who may have, lost their private key, or may have sent crypto somewhere where they shouldn't have, or got the wrong network? Is there any options from them? Because I understand, back in the day, it was absolutely gone forever. It was because it was immutable, but there's maybe some changes in that environment now.
The blockchain is still immutable. So if you lost your private keys, it's lost forever. And if you sent your money in an incorrect destination, there is no way to revert the transaction. This didn't change. What's changed, however, is the fact that now we have tools to create a good backup strategy and so on. Because back in the days, for instance, the 24 words didn't exist. For those who don't know what are the 24 words, 24 words is just a human readable version of a private key, and it's much more easy to create a backup of 24 words rather than a long list of 0 and 1, which is risky in terms of doing fat finger. You can make one mistake and it's not the right private key anymore, and it doesn't work anymore. So in the meantime, we have created this 24 words. And at Ledger, we are offering like different backup strategy with the recent devices. So now we have like devices with e-ink screen, and they embed some NFC capability. And when you buy a new device, it comes with a Ledger recovery key, which is an NFC card. And during the onboarding, then you will generate your secret, your 24 words. It will be displayed on the device. And then you have the 3 different options, basically. The first option is to simply write down your 24 words on a piece of paper. And then you put this piece of paper in a safe or whatever, a physical safe or
Not
whatever.
in your camera roll.
Never take any picture of them. Never like save them on your computer. If you do that, you will lose your crypto for sure. So don't do that. So the first one is like something very analogic, like just write down your 24 words on a piece of paper. The second option that we are offering is this Ledger recovery key, which is an NFC card. So during the onboarding, your words are generated, and then you will simply tap your recovery key on the back of the device, and your 24 words will be securely sent to the Ledger recovery key. It's pin protected. You can also use it in an inheritance setup. For instance, you will create backup for your heirs, and you will give this recovery key to your children, and you write down your PIN on your will at the notary, so that the day you die, your children can have access to their crypto. While when you are alive, they cannot access to your crypto. So there is also this possibility for the backup. And finally, we have a third possibility, which is Ledger Recover, which is like a service that allows to bind your identity to the access of your 24 words. So the process is pretty simple. You're going to prove your identity by showing your ID, doing some video stuff. Also, you have like multi-factor authentication in order to prove that you are yourself. And then your seed will be split into 3 different shards. These shards will be stored into like different companies. Ledger is one of them. We also work with CoinCover, EscrowTech, and they are securely like doing a backup of the shards, 2 of them. I always, my recommendation is always to have like several backups in different locations. Your house burns. You have lost your house. Let's make sure that you don't also lose your Bitcoin. So it's good to have your crypto backup somewhere else, just in case. So several backup. And the last recommendation I would do is that to test your backup regularly. Maybe once a year, you will do like a recover process to make sure that your backup works properly. And also, it's very good to make you confident that your backup works and you know how to do it.
I remember we discussed when you guys brought out Ledger Recover, and it sparked a lot of debate online. I think mainly from like staunch crypto natives, right, who were saying like, well, ultimately, I think it makes it more accessible. It makes like hardware storage less intimidating, and cold storage, because it's like, okay, there are options that if things, I make mistakes, there are backup options. So I think it's actually fantastic for getting like more of the mainstream and more masses into, just cold storage and all those safe practices.
Yeah, so I remember this drama. So first of all, Twitter likes drama, especially crypto Twitter, and I think it's really a matter of when you go from a product that is really reserved for like hardcore geeks, cypherpunks and so on, and you are trying to do innovation for the mainstream people, it always creates this kind of tension. But it's always the same thing. Like when you are trying to do innovation that are different, it always creates friction and so on. But now, like this drama, also in terms of communication, we could have done better. If you remember the episode, I think part of the drama came from here. For the rest, it's a really good, very good product, and it's used by plenty of Ledger users that are happy to have a solution. Because at the end, the risk to lose access to your crypto just because you don't have a backup is far higher than any other risk. So it's important to have these different options.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Ledger's, if you go back to, the early days of Ledger, where I think one of the early models was like the Nano S, right, which was like a USB looking device.
Yep.
Obviously just stored your private key and didn't have that much more functionality. Now we fast forward, we've got like, a device that looks more like an iPhone than a USB, and I think it's the Gen 5 is the most recent model.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I just wanted to know, like, how do you balance, I assume you brought that out for, better user experience, but how do you balance the security and the user experience? And then what's like the end state of that? Like, where do you like foresee people's like wallets, or like what do you foresee them looking like in the future, and what additional functionality would you like to introduce?
Yeah, sure. So Ledger was created with one idea in mind, like security, because we understood very quickly that this was one of the main challenge for the space. So this is how we created the Nano S, and after the other devices. And from this space, we said, okay, now we have solved the security challenge. And now what we need to do is just to improve the user experience while never compromising with security. So this is really the idea of we did in terms of product. So in terms of security, you have like a similar level of security on the Nano S and the last generation devices. While in the user experience, like it's improved significantly. Also, inside the device, we have built our own operating system, which is a pretty simple operating system that does different things. First of all, it implements the cryptography. It's in charge of the security of your seed and secret. And secondly, it's also in charge of managing the different application. For every single cryptocurrency, there is a different application. So Bitcoin is an application, Ethereum is another, and we have like hundreds of them. And I think one of the reasons for Ledger's success is, on one side, Ledger is the best actor when it comes to security. So, and it's trusted and renowned in the ecosystem. But the second thing is the fact that we are supporting like so many different blockchain and protocol. And this was made possible because we have this operating system that enables anyone in the space to build the support for his favorite blockchain.
Yeah, would an easy way to describe it to someone that hasn't used it, it's almost just like the iTunes store. Like you're just picking apps which become the wallet for that particular product, right? Like you'll download a Bitcoin wallet, you download an Ethereum wallet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This was from the beginning, and then during the time we have created like a more comprehensive user experience. We are supporting like so many new blockchain now, and this is what we did like on the hardware side. So making sure that we are improving the user experience over time. Also, the device comes with an application that runs on your mobile, Android, iOS, but also on your desktop, the Linux, Windows, and macOS. And with this application, you can see your portfolio in real time. Every single token that you have in different blockchain, you can see them, you can send, you can receive. And there are plenty of services. You can buy directly on the application. You can sell. You can swap in different venue, centralized exchange, centralized swapper, but also decentralized exchanges, aggregator, and this kind of thing. So the offering is quite large when it comes to swap. You can also stake with the different proof of stake blockchain that we are supporting. You can also get yield on your asset, like with different lending protocol. There is also a credit card. So we have created this one-stop shop application where you can have access to all these different services. And all of this in self-custody. Like you are the one able to do this action on-chain directly in a secure manner because you own your key. So today, this is where we are. You have like Ledger Wallet, which is the application on one side, and Ledger Signer, which is the device on the other side. And we are doing like a separate device, mostly because of security reason. We don't want to put your keys in the same environment where like your Spotify, your Gmail, like all these applications are running on your mobile phone. And in terms of attack surface, it's huge. Like it's wishful thinking to believe that it's possible to have a secure setup within a mobile phone. Just because like the attack surface is so wide, there are so many different applications that are running at the same time in the same operating system. So for this very reason, it's impossible to create a secure setup. So that's why we have created this separate device. But in terms of user experience, what we would like to have, like ideally, is to have like a user experience that matches with mobile phone standards, and also have the same level of security as a ledger. And for that, we are doing some R&D, and we have worked on this for years, and we know how to crack this problem. We know how to create a device that has like a Android or iOS type of user experience, while Ledger Inside type of security. So I'm not announcing that we will do that in the future, but just to give an example of what kind of R&D we are doing to make sure that we are solving this tension between a high level of security and a very seamless user experience.
Now, I want to go back to something you spoke about at the very start, the dungeon. The group of people that are basically trying to break and crack and, hack into a lot of the different ways that, Ledger products work and even just the crypto industry in general. What's some feedback, I guess, from that team that, trends that they've seen sort of come and gone? Like, we talk about the whole industry evolving and changing. Sure, they've seen a lot as well. So it'd be great to just hear some stories on like some of the, problems that Ledger solved and, what are current issues that, you foresee for the future that got some real big obstacles for the average person to get over in the next coming years.
Yeah. So as I mentioned at the beginning, my background is cryptography and security, and I'm doing this since I'm 12. When I got a computer, the first thing I did was to hack. I was a hacker when I was a teenager, mostly for fun, a little bit for profit because it was also fun to make money on such things. And at the time, that was very easy because cybersecurity was not really a thing and so on. So I could see this over time, and what I learned in my whole whole career, is that when you want to build secure systems, the best way to do that is to try to attack them at the same time. Because you will understand the weakness of your system just if you try to break it. Yeah. If you start thinking in an adversarial mode, then you will be able to like spot the different weakness and so on, and so that you can do another iteration in order to mitigate this weakness, creating like new countermeasure, new layer of security. And this is the very reason why I created the dungeon. The idea was, guys, we're going to hack our product every day, and we will find vulnerabilities, and we will iterate again and again to make our product more secure. And this is the very reason why we created the dungeon. And this is what they do. Like day to day, they try to break into our system, our product, our application, and they are giving recommendation then to the developers to strengthen the security of the whole system. Mm-hmm. So this is what they do. Also, they do some R&D, like security research in the space for various reasons. I think the first reason is when you are trying to break something else, then you will learn like a new potential attack vector, threat models. You will understand what is difficult to break in this other product, what is more weak. So just in order to get better, trying to attack like other system is also a good practice. So for this reason, so they are doing security research for this reason, but also because like as a leader in security when it comes to the blockchain technology, Ledger wants to raise the bar for security in the whole ecosystem. Because it's also a matter of trust. Like if everyone lose money every day because of lack of security, we all lose. So this is also for this reason that the dungeon is investing time, resources, evaluating the different product in the space. And they did security research on different hardware wallets, and in the hardware wallet space, so they are. Part of the team is very specialized in hardware security, and they have very like expensive equipment, high level of knowledge, and so on. So in the hardware space, they were able to like break most of the different product. And all the time, what they did was responsible disclosure. So meaning they went to the different like hardware wallet manufacturer and explained them what they found and how to improve the security of their product. So this is something they did, and most of the time they found like really critical vulnerabilities. But they also did the same on different on-chain protocols, also software wallet. One interesting finding was the following. At some point, maybe in 2021, I think, 2022 maybe, Trust Wallet released like an extension for their software wallet. So you had Trust Wallet on mobile, but it was also possible to have an extension. At the time, so they built the extension, and as soon as they released it, one of the guy at the dungeon started to analyze the code and so on. And very quickly, he was able to spot a very tiny vulnerability in the way the seed was generated. So, long story short, instead of having like a high level of entropy for the seed, the seed of Trust Wallet extension was only 32 bits. That means that the guy in the dungeon was able to generate every single possible seed for Trust Wallet user. So this was very nasty. So long story short, this guy in the dungeon knew all the seed of all Trust Wallet user. And what he could have done is simply drain all the wallets.
Wow.
But these guys are white hat hackers. Like they don't do that for money. They do that because they believe in security in the ecosystem and they want to make the world a better place at the end. So what he did is disclosing the vulnerability to the Trust Wallet team and making sure they could fix it. And that was not that simple because there was so much money already in this vulnerable seed. They needed to make sure that their users migrate to another seed. Right. So this is what happened. So and at the end that was a success because almost no money was lost, while it could have been a disaster simply.
Thank God for people like that.
I was going to say, all you ever hear about is the bad things, right? You don't hear about people proactively helping each other as much
anymore. Because in the news, in crypto Twitter, the journalists like blood. Like they like when Bybit lost 1.4 billion. This is the big thing. When the dungeon or anyone in the space saved us from a disaster. It's very less interesting for everyone. This is what it is at the end, and it doesn't prevent the dungeon to do that. So it's fine at the end.
Is there any major concerns around security moving forward, whether it be in quantum computing, and how do we address those issues? Because that goes obviously past like Ledger, right? It's crypto as a whole. AI is obviously getting more advanced by the day. So how do you see that playing out, and what can companies like Ledger and just other general crypto companies like SwiftX do to sort of protect themselves against those vulnerabilities?
So it's a long question. So let's start with quantum computer because everyone talks about quantum computer. So let me give you my input on this. So first of all, I work in cryptography for more than 20 years, and it's more than 20 years that I hear that in the next 5 years we will have a quantum computer breaking cryptography. So I'm not saying it won't happen, but this is a fact. So first. Secondly, also, we must admit that progress have been made in quantum computer manufacturing. We are not at this point yet, but progress have been made. However, we don't know if we will be able to create a quantum computer anytime soon. My personal bet is that I won't see a quantum computer capable of breaking modern cryptography in my lifetime. This is my bet. But at the end, I don't know, and no one knows. Except if someone has secretly a quantum computer, no one knows. And I'm not sure it's worth taking the risk. We know how technology works. It's slow, and all of a sudden, then there was a big breakthrough, and then we are making significant progress, and everything changes. This is how technology works. So we know there was this threat, and the good thing is that we also have tools. We have post-quantum cryptography, meaning that we have cryptographic algorithms that are immune against a quantum computer. So now it's really a matter of coordinating the transition from where we are in terms of modern cryptography to post-quantum crypto. And to be honest, I think it will be far more easier for blockchain technology than it will be for banking system, for defense, for telecommunication. Our whole world relies on modern cryptography that is theoretically that could be broken theoretically by a quantum computer. So banking system, telecommunication, defense will have a very hard time changing all their legacy system while continuing their operation. They simply have to change the engine of an aircraft that is flying. So for them, that will be much more difficult than it is for blockchain. For blockchain, we also have an aircraft that's flying, but very less legacy, more simple system. And we know how to do that. Now it's really a matter of reaching a social consensus and figuring out what are the details, what will be the implementation, and so on.
Yep.
But we will make it. And again, we don't know if the quantum computer threat is tomorrow, in 10 years, or never. But I don't think it's worth taking the risk. So I'm advocating for migrating towards post-quantum crypto. And now it's just a matter of reaching this social consensus, and it will happen. Because there is also an element of trust when you are interacting with blockchain. If you start having a doubt that it could be broken tomorrow, it's not good for anyone. So there is also this that must be taken into account. And so this is for quantum crypto, but there are like current threats, actual threat today, and we are seeing the attack landscape that is evolving like very fast. And we are seeing that attacks are getting like more and more sophisticated. And for that, having like a very good EGN, security EGN, OPSEC EGN, is very important. So that's the very reason why Ledger exists. We are creating this product that avoid people doing big mistakes. But this is the same when you are interacting with an exchange, because you will have a login and password, and if they got stolen, then the attacker could trade on your behalf, withdraw your funds on your behalf. So you need to take these things into account, and having a very strict security EGN is paramount in this field. Especially because we are seeing the attack landscape that is starting to be very frightening. You have group of people that have like large amount of resources, big teams that are. It's an industry. Like the attacker industry is an industry.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and they are making like last year they made like 2.2 billion. This year, so we are in November and it's already 2.3. So this industry is in growth.
Yeah,
and next year they will make more money than this year. So this is what we are talking about. So you need to take this into account, and it's always for them. It's always an opportunity cost. If they can make money on this attack, they will invest, and the more money they can make, the more money they will make. This is the case for crypto, but this is the case for anything.
For everything, right? Yeah. Like, because you never really stop and think how much is actually on your phone when you stop and think about it. And that is the prime vector for attack, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, personally, I'm just a huge fan of Ledger, like all the products you make, and obviously a brand like you guys are, I think in the space, one of the more reputable brands just globally. So SwiftX and Ledger have always had a really strong sort of relationship. And obviously we've got an event tonight. So that'll be good. So I'm looking forward to that. But I know Tommy, who's a co-host as well, would want to say, because he's been using a Ledger for ages, and I think he's got a bit of a success story where he bought Tezos at like a really low point, or like when it just came out, chucked it on his Ledger. Since then, he's been staking it, just set and forget, and he's made so much in the background for years, right? Like over 5 years, and so. He's like one of the people I'm like, okay, that is sort of like, the use case of it, right? It's crypto that you're not looking at selling, you're looking to make some money off it, and you basically store it away in a super secure place where only you have access to it. And that's basically how you sell it to the masses, right?
Yep. Yeah, and exchanges and self-custody are not competitors at all. Those are two different things. Yeah. On one side, you can secure your wealth and you can interact with blockchain directly. On the other side, exchanges are offering a service that consists in exchanges money against crypto or crypto against crypto. This is a trading service. So these are two different things, and we are working together in the same space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe next time we can come to France and you can host us.
With pleasure. We have great offices, and we also have like a podcast studio in Ledger. So that will be with pleasure that I could host you.
Absolutely. We just got to find the budget for the flights. Shouldn't be too hard.
We can make it work eventually.
They're pretty cheap these days, I think. Thank you so much, Charles Guillemet, CTO at Ledger. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.